NIO stock does a complete 180. Huge NIO partnership announcement. Interested in NIO stock news? Or what's new on the stock market? Any good or bad news about the stocks you want to buy that you might invest in? Well, you've come to the right place if you're interested in stocks, especially NIO stock. Welcome back to Stock Market News. After an incredible run that hadn't taken much of a breather for some time, it was quite entertaining to see the bears come out and pound NIO after the expected pullback in its share price came. This occurred after NIO had been on a tear for quite some time. It was past due. Now that it's arrived, some peculiar things are being suggested as reasons to steer clear of the company. One example of this is the erroneous comparison of NIO to XPeng and Li Auto in terms of deliveries, as if these three companies are direct competitors in a particular market segment. There's also the persistent propagation of the notion that the manufacturer of EVs is in jeopardy of being delisted from the market. Even though it may seem as though the company's slowing down, this is not the case at all. It's been modernizing its production facilities in anticipation of a rise in demand for its present car, and it's also getting ready to introduce two new vehicles in 2022. What is occurring is that it is preparing for the debut of two new vehicles simultaneously. When you add on top of that the building out of its BaaS infrastructure, you have a circumstance that's only temporary but will drive remarkable development in the months and years ahead. Because of these factors, I believe that NIO is now at an excellent entry point at the time. And even if there is some additional setback, the electric vehicle powerhouse that is China has nothing but growth ahead of it in the long run. XPeng and Li Auto compete against NIO, and it has been suggested by several financial writers and commentators that NIO is a direct competitor of both XPeng and Li Auto. This is simply not the case, other than the fact that they all sell four-wheeled vehicles that are used to transport people from one location to another. Another peculiarity concerning NIO is that has been brought up by a number of these individuals, is that NIO is being compared to these two companies. My point is, every company appeals to a distinct segment of the population, and in the case of NIO, because it competes at the high end of the market, it is ultimately likely to deliver fewer automobiles than EV businesses that sell their vehicles at lower prices. For instance, as of October 2021, the average price at which NIO sold its vehicles was $68,000. On the other hand, XPeng's P5 was marketed at prices ranging from $24,694 to approximately $35,000 as of the middle of 2021. The beginning price of its P7 model was somewhat close to the maximum price of the P5. The most recent iteration of the Li 1 may be purchased for anywhere between $52,762 and $54,423. The price difference is determined by the color option selected. Therefore, when someone brings out the gap in deliveries between NIO, XPeng, and Li, it's important to realize that vehicles costing between $14,000 and $44,000 are more likely going to get more orders, since there are more individuals with lower incomes than there are people with higher incomes. According to the most recent data, NIO delivered 9,652 automobiles in January 2022. This is a year-over-year increase of 33.6%, but a sequential decrease of 8% in comparison to December 2021, when it delivered 10,489. January 2022 saw Li Auto supply 12,168 automobiles, a growth of 128.1% compared to the same reporting period the previous year. This was a decrease of 12.9% compared to the deliveries made in December 2021, which totaled 14,087. The month of January 2022 saw XPeng deliver 12,922 vehicles, representing an increase of 115% year over year. As the global shortage of semiconductors begins to ease in 2022, it is anticipated that each of these businesses will enjoy success. The firm's entire plan to build out multiple components of the company at the same time, although this is momentarily limiting production and deliveries, is the company's secret weapon. No one factor makes NIO so successful. Rather, it's the strategy as a whole. It speaks well of the organization that they're willing to suffer short-term discomfort for the sake of achieving long-term success. It's also built out of a large portion of its infrastructure at the same time that it's been retooling its facilities to increase capacity. This has allowed it to better serve both its current customer base and the anticipated increase in customer demand that is to come in the coming months and years. NIO has been quickening the pace at which it is establishing its power, sales, and service networks. As of January 31st, 2022, NIO had erected 42 NIO houses, 341 NIO spaces, 55 NIO service centers, and 180 authorized service service centers around China. Additionally, they had constructed 836 power swap stations, 3,766 power chargers, and 3,656 destination chargers. The growth of the infrastructure provides the firm basis necessary to consistently deliver experiences that go above and beyond what people anticipate. It may give the Li and Xpeng a run for their money in terms of deliveries over the next couple of years, as it continues to build out its infrastructure and production facilities are completed. This is the case even though it serves a completely different demographic and market segment. It's expected that the corporation will be able to build 300,000 automobiles by about June 2022, and that number should reach close to 600,000 vehicles by the end of the year. NIO is planning to deliver a model later in 2022 that will have a lower cost, and when that happens, companies like Li, Xpeng, and others will be forced to go on defense. This is an additional key factor to consider. When everything is in place, NIO will be an even more formidable adversary than it already is. In other words, it'll be a considerable force to be reckoned with. The partnership, which might be a possibility, NIO, a Chinese company that manufactures electric vehicles, and Advanced Micro Devices, which trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol AMD, have agreed to work together to supply processors to NIO. In a video that was uploaded on Weibo, AMD announced that the EPYC line of CPUs from AMD would be utilized by NIO in the company's high-performance computing platform. The training of AI for deep learning will go more quickly as a result, and product development cycles will be reduced. CPUs manufactured by AMD will only be used in the development of NIO's vehicles and not in vehicles that are manufactured. Chips manufactured by Mobileye and NVIDIA are used for autonomous driving, while chips manufactured by Qualcomm are used in the vehicle's intelligent cockpit. Who were the pioneers behind Advanced Micro Devices? AMD was founded in 1969 as a startup in Silicon Valley with hundreds of people. At that time, the company's primary focus was on developing innovative semiconductor products. Despite its humble beginnings, AMD has grown to become a global company that is responsible for setting the standard for modern computing. This is accomplished through important technological advances as well as multiple industry firsts. So now that we know that AMD is working with NIO, what exactly is the background of that Chinese automotive maker, NIO? NIO is a Chinese multinational automobile manufacturer with its headquarters in Shanghai, and it's primarily concerned with the design and development of electric vehicles. The automaker is well known for being the pioneer in the development of battery swapping stations as an alternative to conventional charging stations for its vehicles. NIO has established a working network of 700 battery swap stations that spans thousands of kilometers of Chinese expressways, in contrast to Tesla, which has experimented with battery swapping but has never scaled it up and instead relies on its supercharger network. NIO's network of battery swap stations covers thousands of kilometers of Chinese expressways. With its forward-thinking mission statement, NIO is much more than just a car manufacturer. In fact, it's not even a car manufacturer at all. NIO aims to become the world's first user enterprise by designing and manufacturing electric vehicles as both intelligent and high-performing. Hey, that's it for today's video. We really appreciate your time. Please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button so we can continue to bring you more content with NIO stock information and updates. Hey, we'll catch up with you in the next video. Thanks for watching.